Hello there. Welcome to Just the Discs. We talk about Blu-rays here. And today I'm just doing a quick unboxing and going through of one of the latest box sets from the great folks over at Severin Films. And Severin Films, one of my favorite labels for box sets. I really enjoyed and I'm still enjoying the Ray Dennis Steckler box set from last year. The Al Adamson box set is behind me. You know, I have I think most of their box sets they've ever put out. And so this is a new one. It's kind of in line with this previous box set in that this is the Umberto Lenzi Carol Baker set. And so it's highlighting Lenzi and a single actor. Very nice set. And then this new one is called Violent Streets, Umberto Lenzi and Tomas Milian collection. So we're talking about Police Attaché, Italian crime films here, and all of them featuring Tomas Milian and being directed by the great Umberto Lenzi. And it's another really nice set. As you can see, it has 5 movies in it and a really nice box, just like the one they used for the Carol Baker set, or the Lenzi Baker set. But let me go through these films here. Starting with Syndicate Sadis. This film from 1975. I might go a little out of order. This is one of my favorites in the set, and a lot of these aren't available streaming, by the way. This is a movie I'd been wanting to watch for a while, but couldn't get a streaming copy of it, and was kind of waiting on a nice Blu-ray, and this is it. This is the second collaboration between Lenzi and Tomas Milian. In their second collaboration, released in Italy as Il Gustiziere Sfida la Città, the vigilante challenges the city. Tomas Milian stars as a biker named Rambo. This is well before that franchise started. The actor borrowed the name from David Morrell's 1972 novel First Blood. So obviously it is before the movie, but not before the book, who avenges a friend's murder by orchestrating a war between rival crime families. Director Umberto Lenzi and screenwriter Vincenzo Menino, House on the Edge of the Park, packed the running time with a barrage of beatings, shootings, kidnappings, and chases that raised the bar for 70s Eurocrime and put modern action flicks to shame. Luciano Canetchi, Femi Benusi, and Joseph Cotton co-star in this non-stop exciting thriller, also released as One Just Man and Rambo's Revenge, now scanned uncut from the original negative. So this is a fun one and a fun performance from Tomas Milian as Rambo. He's just got a really fun sort of arrogance about him in this movie, where he's just kind of going around and he's like an incredible shot and he's a great fighter and just seems generally bored, but is definitely out to get these two crime families to destroy each other. Kind of a, fistful of dollars, type scenario. I can't remember if that's, I think the Yojimbo scenario, basically, sort of along those lines. But he's great in it, and it's a really fun one. Has some nice features, and several of these, 3 of them have a bonus soundtrack CD, which is really cool, because another great thing about these movies is the music. And this score is by, comes with a nice little postcard. This is by Franco Michelizzi, and so you get the Blu-ray and the soundtrack CD, which I think is a cool inclusion that Severin's been doing for a long time, but I don't feel like I see that very much from a lot of other labels. Not too much anyway. But in terms of the features, First Blood interview with director Umberto Lenzi. It's about 8 minutes, and that's him talking about the project, just how it got going, etc., and working with Milian. Italian with English subtitles. A lot of these interviews will be in Italian with English subtitles. One called Family Affair, which is an interview with actress Ida Galli, 17 minutes, and she talks about working with her son in the film, working with Tomas Milian, and about how self-absorbed he was. She said something like, if he had to take 2 steps, he would call for a stand-in. Talks more about her son and how he worked well in the film, etc. He's sort of a kid in the movie that gets kidnapped that Tomas Milian's character wants to help out. And then there's actually an interview called Kidnapped, which is an interview with Alessandro Cocco, 27 minutes, and he is the son of Ida Galli, and he's the kid from the movie. He talks about growing up, how his mom's fame didn't really affect him, but also how he would go onto set with her from time to time, and how he got his first acting jobs. Then we have interview with the fascist, with actor Bruno de Luia, one of the actors from the film, and that is about 24 minutes. I believe also these are all Italian with English subtitles. So lots of extra features and a bonus soundtrack on Syndicate Sadis, and it's all region and widescreen, and it looks very nice. So that's Syndicate Sadis. Let's see here. Let's try Almost Human, a big one for Tomas Milian. This one's from 1974. I believe it might be their first collaboration, and also includes a bonus soundtrack CD. Now, this soundtrack, if I recall, another postcard, is by the great Ennio Morricone. Also a really great soundtrack, and great to have that CD included. So, yeah, this one says includes 5 hours of special features plus the Ennio Morricone CD. Released in Italy under the title Milano odia la polizia, non può sparare. Milan hates, the police can't shoot. This first collaboration between director Umberto Lenzi and star Tomas Milian remains both a degenerate treat and a definitive Eurocrime. When a small-time criminal, a fearless performance by Milian, probably one of his best, most unhinged performances. It's pretty dark stuff. He is a really fascinating actor and a guy that really goes for it. And you're either kind of on board with that or maybe you're not, Let's see here. Kidnaps a wealthy industrialist's daughter. When he kidnaps a wealthy industrialist's daughter, he'll trigger a depraved spree of class warfare, sexual violence, mass murder, and the rage of a police commissioner, played by Henry Silva, determined to end the carnage. Anita Strindberg and Ray Lovelock co-star in one of the peaks of the genre, written by Ernesto Gastaldi, All the Colors of the Dark, with a classic score by Morricone, now scanned uncut from the original negative. Okay, so this one also has, like it says, 5 hours of features, a ton of stuff here. So this one is one of a few that have been released before. I'm not sure if all of these have, but this one has gotten a release before, I believe. Not necessarily stateside, but you're getting a lot of features that come over from other releases. So you have not one but 2 audio commentaries. You have one audio commentary with screenwriter Ernesto Gastaldi, and then you have a second audio commentary with Mondo Digital's Nathaniel Thompson and Troy Howarth, author of Make Them Die Slowly, the kinetic cinema of Umberto Lenzi. These guys are great together and really solid on Italian cinema, especially Howarth, but Nathaniel Thompson is no slouch when it comes to Italian cinema. He is certainly an expert. But Howarth has written many books on all kinds of Italian cinema, and he is always great together with Nathaniel Thompson. So, great track there. Violent Milan interview with director Umberto Lenzi, 29 minutes. This is in Italian with English subtitles. And Lenzi talks a little bit about the climate in Italy around the time he was making these movies. There was a lot of violence and crime in the streets, and sort of talking about this being the time to make these films and just how they came about, etc. And working again with Milian. Milian Unleashed interview with Tomas Milian himself. He died in 2017, so this is obviously an older interview. He speaks English and talks about this film specifically and his general techniques and ideas about acting. Fascinating stuff, fascinating guy, one of my favorite features on this whole set, and it's almost a 26-minute interview with him. History of Violence interview with Ernesto Gastaldi, screenwriter, 37 minutes, 44 seconds. Again, some of the same stuff covered in the commentary, but a little different. Some notes from the screenwriter. Italian-American Gangster interview with actor Henry Silva. This is only a 5.5-minute interview. I believe it comes from either the footage or directly from the Italian crime documentary that Mike Malloy did. It looks like the interview that he shot for that. But it's great to hear Silva talk about his Italian films and his sort of work overseas. Really great guy, and I love to hear him speaking about this stuff. So that's it for all the features on this one. That is Almost Human. Then we have Free Hand for a Tough Cop. And this one is from 1976. Obviously, of course, Milian headlines it. Following The Tough Ones, a.k.a. Rome Armed to the Teeth, which did get a release, a really nice release from Grindhouse releasing a few years back. So you want to supplement your Lenzi Tomas Milian box set with the Tough Ones release from Grindhouse. Following that film, this fourth collaboration between Umberto Lenzi and star Tomas Milian, released as Il Trucido El L'Oscuro, The Crook and the Cop, introduced Milian's iconic character of Manezza and served as the unacknowledged template for 48 Hours, when a scheming convict played by Milian is sprung from prison by hard-nosed cop Claudio Casinelli. They'll team up to hunt down Manezza's former crime partner, played by Henry Silva, who's kidnapped a critically ill child. Robert Hundar, Nicoletta Machiavelli, in a murderer's row of Eurocrime's most recognizable character actors co-star in this classic police attaché packed full of action. Co-written by Lenzi and Dardano Sacchetti. I love to say his name. Who also wrote The Beyond and so many other Italian films. Now scanned in 2K from the original negative. Okay, so let's talk about the features on this disc. It has something called In the Asphalt Jungle, an interview with Umberto Lenzi, again, about 4 minutes. And he talks about police violence and how it was frowned upon in films. He even goes so far as to sort of reflect on Howard Hawks' film Scarface from 1932 and how violent and how violently killed the character is in that film versus the Italian standards of the time, which were more strict. Again, this is all the Lenzi interviews are in Italian with English subtitles. Tough Guy Coronado, a look at the career of Coronado Solari. This is a 38-minute, 45-second interview, career overview and life history from the actor himself in Italian with English subtitles. The Father Manezza interview with screenwriter Dardano Sacchetti. This one, 34 minutes. One of several, I want to say there's at least 2, if not 3 interviews with Dardano Sacchetti on these discs, and I love his interviews are always intriguing. You know, you get to hear his specific experiences for each of the films and his process a little bit, his memories of them, in Italian with English subtitles, of course. Handheld Camera for a Tough Cinematographer, interview with cinematographer Nino Celeste. 15 and a half minutes, talks about meeting and his initial impressions of Tomas Milian, working with Lenzi, handheld photography, etc., in Italian with English subtitles. Making movies, interview with producer Ugo Tucci, 12 minutes, 10 seconds. Meeting and working with Lenzi and so forth is what he talks about in this interview. And then there's an extended bank robbery scene sourced from the original negative that's about 3.5 minutes, also featured on this set. So that is Free Hand for a Tough Cop. Okay, so kind of like 48 Hours, that one. And then we have Brothers Till We Die from 1978. And this one, again, Milian, of course. The North American disc premiere with 4 new featurettes and more. For their final collaboration, Umberto Lenzi directs his own razor-sharp screenplay with Tomas Milian, while Tomas Milian delivers a brilliant dual performance reprising the roles of scheming lowlife Sergio Monaza Marazzi from Free Hand for a Tough Cop, as well as his own twin brother, hunchbacked sociopath Vincenzo Il Gabbo Marazzi from The Tough Ones. With Milian providing his own character's dialogue, it's a potent odyssey of trans prostitutes, armed robberies, double crosses, Randy Albanians, angry cops, insane asylums, and some of the most startling pathos and politics in the history of the genre. Isa Danieli, Guido Leontini, and Solveig Stubing co-star in the long unseen Lenzi Milian swan song, now scanned uncut in 2K from the original negative. So very cool to have Milian in a dual role and twins at that, and also reprising characters from other movies, which I think is cool. So Tomas and Tomas interview with director Umberto Lenzi, 12 minutes, speaking specifically about this movie and Milian, again in Italian with English subtitles. He Called Me the Tamer, interview with editor Eugenio Alabiso, 19 and a half minutes. The editor talks about working with Lenzi. He also worked with Leone and Corbucci, and sort of his experience on this film and some other films. Italian with English subtitles. Music and Bullets, interview with composer Franco Michelizzi, 19 and a half minutes. Composer speaks of his working relationship with Umberto Lenzi and his movies, Tomas Milian and his own creative process. Fascinating stuff in Italian with English subtitles. Sorry, just double checking. There's one more with a soundtrack. I'll get to that in a second. Let's see here. Heart of Rome, interview with composer Antonio Vendetti, 18 minutes, 51 seconds. Composer of the song Sora Rosa, a song featured prominently in this film. So that composer, there's a song that comes up in the movie. It's name checked specifically. It's called out. And he talks about writing the song and some other overview career kind of stuff as well. So that is Brothers Till We Die. And then we have one more. I kind of went out of order. This is from 1977. The Cynic, the Rat, and the Fist. And this one features Tomas Milian, Maurizio Merli, and John Saxon. And this one also has a bonus soundtrack CD and postcard. This is a Franco Michelizzi score soundtrack. All the Michelizzi and the soundtrack CDs are total bangers. They're great soundtracks to just put on in the car and just kind of cruise around to. I definitely dug them. Lenzi Milian at their meanest, plus bonus Michelizzi soundtrack CD. From their penultimate collaboration, Umberto Lenzi and producer Luciano Martino, Eaten Alive, brought together Tomas Milian as a cold-blooded crime boss known as the Chinaman, John Saxon as a sadistic American mobster looking for his own piece of the action, and Maurizio Merli as the hot-headed rogue cop Leo Tanzi, first introduced in Lenzi's The Tough Ones. I love these character crossovers. gunning for them both. That's the cop. Renzo Palmer and Gabriella Lepori co-star in this fantastic piece of Italian genre cinema and a definitive statement to the craftsmanship of Lenzi. Co-written by Lenzi, Sacchetti again, who also wrote New York Ripper. There's a good interview with him on that Blu-ray from Blue Underground. Let's see here. And Ernesto Gastaldi also co-wrote, featuring an oft-sampled score by Franco Michalizzi. I guess his stuff was featured in Death Proof and Django Unchained as well. Now scanned uncut in 2K from the original negative. Okay. So a nice group of features here as well. We have Merli versus Milian, interview with director Umberto Lenzi. It's only about 4.5 minutes, but Lenzi talks about his experience with the tumultuous relationship between Maurizio Merli and Tomas Milian. They did not like each other, it sounds like. Opens with a fun story about a scene wherein Merli gets knocked to the ground by the Milian character, and Milian's character is supposed to sort of fake kick him, but in the actual filming of the scene, he really kicked him while he was on the ground. And after the take, the two men got up and began to fight, and they had to break them up and basically shut down the production for a couple days. So there's a lot of fun little stories in this 4.5 minutes. Again, Italian with English subtitles with Lenzi. A Man of Action interview with Umberto Lenzi, 10-minute interview. It's an older interview with Lenzi talking about his career. Me, Milian, and Merli interview with Umberto Lenzi on his iconic characters, 19.5 minutes. Another older interview with Lenzi and talking about how this film came about and that sort of character crossover stuff. Also sort of touched on in this one. The writer, the director, and the actor interview with screenwriter Dajano Sacchetti, 32 minutes, talks about how you handle a screenplay, how you develop a story, and the process of working with Lenzi and more in this one. Again, I really dig these Sacchetti interviews. Italian with English subtitles. Here Comes the Fist, interview with actor John Saxon, 8.5 minutes. This is an older interview, another one that I think comes from the Eurocrime doc, Mike Mollay's Eurocrime doc, like the Henry Silva interview prior in that other disc. But, you know, just getting to hear him talk about his Italian experience is wonderful. You know, there's some really... The Eurocrime doc is highly recommended. It used to be on Amazon Prime and or Tubi. So I would say go look for Eurocrime there as a nice complement to this already packed set. But a lot of those interviews that Mike got were really great in terms of the big actors in those films. You know, I talked to Milian, I believe, too. And anyway, good stuff. But so that is it for this set, this really delightful Italian crime set from the good folks at Severin. That's Violent Streets, the Umberto Lenzi, Tomas Milian collection. Definitely a virtuoso actor, and this box set is a real tribute and a great sampling of what he was capable of doing, and it's some of his best and most outlandish work. So hats off to Severin for another great box set that I look forward to fully digging into. I've just barely scratched the surface with this set so far. Anyway, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.